How do we start this? Right, I'm just ready whenever. The phrase, oh, what a difference a year makes, really doesn't resonate true until you realize, oh, what a difference a year makes. A year ago, we were just starting the weirdest timeline that the world has ever found itself in. I'm not too sure about this manga spin that we're still in, but hey, hopefully we can find a new decent plot at the end of it, you know? But a year ago, there was sort of still life and hope and big things on the horizon within this community. It almost felt like as if when everything went to shit, everything within this community found new life and new meaning and just exploded in a way that we haven't seen outside of a game launch. And it was amazing. It was truly a period of about 3 months that you didn't want to not be in. There was a FOMO to it. And what a difference a year makes, because a year later it feels like everything is, as the title says, running on fumes, and in a way myself included. Now, I don't mean for a second that I'm burned out again. It doesn't mean that I'm frustrated by anything that I'm about to say. If anything, there's always an element of gratitude to everything that I'm the situation that I'm in and that I'm talking about right now, because the reality is, there are others in this who don't have this audience, who don't have this platform to be able to say these things, and in a way, they are focused still, and all credit to everyone doing it, on grinding their ass off, on doing everything that they can to hope that one day they can get into a place where they have a community which they can call their own. And to everyone doing that, no matter how long you've been doing it, no matter how much you're aspiring to do it, keep on going, keep getting better, keep grinding away, because one day, so long as you put in the work, you put in the effort, and you put in the quality, that will come your way. I should know. I have been doing this now for a lot of my life. But what I'm here to talk about is about that running on fumes thing, about how the community is, in a way, running on fumes in regards to the activity within it, the desire within it right now, the ambition with it, and the kind of focus that everything is. Because since about last summer, the focus turned to 2K22, and it has remained that way ever since, and it is clear to see from my own perspective. In the last 3-4 months, really, since about the turn of the year, I have noticed that I do not want to say dying, because dying is the wrong word, but I have noticed a sharp, and it is sharp, stagnation of my audience, of my viewership, of everything in that regards. Now, we can obviously point to some issues that are still mine. Of course, the consistency has never been there for about a year now. Previously, it was 2K20 that I used as the blame factor. Now it's the fact that I'm unable to manage a work-life balance for longer than a period of about 10 days. But there is also something within me, I guess, in a way, that looks at the stagnation and almost gets a kick in the gut from it. And it's not as if for a second I am blaming anyone for this. I don't believe there is any foot of the blame to rest for this. This is just how humanity works, especially in the internet era. There is just a sort of an element in the room that, oh, this is just how it's going to be for the next 6 or so months. And it's not about thriving, not even about surviving. It's just about dealing with stagnation, because the reality is, to tell the truth, since I put out that Royal Rumble show, views have just ever so slowly been declining. And it is an unfortunate thing to look at. I mean, yes, obviously King of the Ring was the last one that had a good bump, but before King of the Ring, everything is slowly, gradually just dipping down and down and down in terms of views, premiere numbers, ad revenue, all that boring numerical stuff. But it does have an impact on me in a way, because I look at it and I think, so much time. If anything, I'm now putting more time into these videos than I was when they were getting, 4,000 or 5,000 views, and it almost feels as if, like, by the end of it, I'm just there and I'm just thinking, I gotta do 6 more months of this, There's that element, there's that burnout phase. I don't want to say burnout, but there's that phase in me that's almost just like, it feels as if it's only going to go gradually more and more down from here. Like, I am looking at the almost the peak of the trough right now, if that makes sense. Like, it is May now, and these numbers that I'm looking at, I don't want to bitch about them, because obviously I am fortunate to have these numbers, and I know that, and there's no such thing as deserving these numbers, because frankly, in my opinion, no one deserves anything. But when I compare them to where they were a year ago, it is a catastrophic difference. It is a difference basically of 2 to 1 in terms of these months, and it just makes me think that it's only going to go more downhill from here until 2K22 comes around. That's the thing, though. 2K22, when 2K22 comes around, I know, we all know it. Any creators I've talked about this with has mentioned it. When 2K22 comes around, everything changes. Everything spirals back up on the upwards. This is probably the most anticipated 2K game or WWE game ever. But there is that element of the next 6 months of me looking at all this and just saying, this community is in a way running on fumes, because we have nothing to go off of. We have nothing to utilize. We have nothing to, in a way, gain. Everything just feels so flat, so mild, so middle of the park, and the result is stagnation. Like, it doesn't make a difference to me looking at my views from December to April right now. These past, whatever that is, 5 months of views or whatever it is, but they're basically in and around the same. And it's the same stagnation. It's the same number of views, as if to say, nothing's changing, and if anything in these next 5 months, it is only going to decline more. And there is that element of me, when I am making these episodes, when I am putting a lot into these episodes, when it's just heading into WrestleMania season within this channel, of course, to see it, the realization that it is a decline, that it is a slow decline, it must be said, that it is a stagnation. I shouldn't be using the word decline, I should be saying stagnation, because decline makes it sound worse than it is. But this kind of element that this is it, it's not going to go bigger, it might go smaller. That's what she said. But it's just that element of all the times, and it is a bit of a selfish outlook for me to have on it, I must admit, and I know that, but these are kind of what these videos are. They're selfish ramblings. That of all the times that that a stagnation had to come around, it had to be now, and it makes me not demoralized, but meh again, not funk again, but just sort of bummed out that the ship has sailed, that the shark has been metaphorically jumped, and it feels as if that this is just going to be a long 5 months, that this is going to be a long road now to WrestleMania for myself, and a long road to 2K22 for all these creators. And I don't know, maybe you're a creator, and maybe you're thinking this way, maybe you're having this understanding that, oh man, this is going to be a troubling 5-6 months, however long it is until 2K22, and I am 100% with you in that. I feel as if these next 5-6 months are going to be testing, they're going to be troubling, and they are going to be stagnant. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how you try and reinvent a wheel right now. It feels as if there is no point, because the community is just not interested. There are more interesting things going on in wrestling to focus on, and there are more interesting things in terms of gaming, and there are more interesting things in general for people to focus on. Life coming back to normal after a year, thank God for that. But the reality is, in our circle that we're in right now, we look at these 5-6 months, especially I do, and I just think this is going to be slow. This is going to be dry, and it could be demoralizing for some people. It has been, at some cases, demoralizing for me. Again, this is first world creator, bitchy, selfish problems. But to use a case in point, for as great as King of the Ring was in terms of the aspect that we came out there which was for the donations, and I will be doing one of these videos on that when the money comes in and I am able to donate it and just to suck you guys off for a few minutes instead. But in my head, the premiere numbers were going to be more than they were, and that was sort of the reality when I looked at that, and I just thought, I am, at the least, in a troublesome time. To see a pay-per-view getting 60 people, 50 people, thereabouts on average, in that premiere, I mean, yeah, that's really good. I'm not going to say I don't appreciate that, because I do, and we had a great time watching the pay-per-view as well. But to look at that and just think, that's as good as it's going to get until Mania. That's the biggest number they'll be until Mania. It's daunting. It's a blank slate in a way. It's just looking at it and just thinking, oh man, this is not going to be a great time. This is going to be a trialing time, I think, for a lot of people, myself included. And again, I don't really know. There's nothing we can do about it. That's the reality. There is nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do to just flick a switch and suddenly 30,000 views a month becomes 60,000 views a month. There's just nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do to change it. This is the reality of the situation we're in. It doesn't make a difference if I made 3 videos a month or 6 or 12 or 20. It wouldn't make a difference. Things just would not change because this is the element of the game that we're in right now. People just, in a way, aren't too interested. They got more important things to focus on. They've got more interesting things to focus on than us playing a game that's either a year old or 2 years old with mods. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's the element as well that people have just looked at a creator, say Murphs for example, and just said, yeah, he's going to be the one that I watch from now until 2K22. If that's the way people have gone with things, if that's the way you're thinking of going with things, fine. I really do not blame you one bit for thinking that way, because again, this is such a trialing time where there is almost nothing on the horizon aside from 2K22. There is nothing in the element that we're in right now to go, oh, this is why I should tune into this, or this is why I should watch that, or this is interesting, this is interesting. There is just a flat line right now, and as I said earlier, it could become a trough. We could be at the peak of the trough. It could be the case where, you know, I look at these numbers in April now, and I'm in September, and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, I'd like those numbers back. I do not know, and that is a worrying factor. Because in my head, it's only going to go gradually more downhill. And I could be wrong about this even being a stagnation. This could be a decline. I simply don't know. It is a worrying factor. And it is a factor that I've just wanted to splurge out about for a while now. There is a feeling that this community is running on fumes for the time being. When we get 2K22 in, we'll be having the full tank. We're going to do the Le Mans 24 hours on one tank. But until that point, it feels as if we are just trundling around the track, just trying to cross the line again and again and again. And my fear is that at some point across the line, across these next few months, that some people are just going to park up on the side of the track and say, I'm just going to wait for the full tank. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm not trying to shit on this community for a second. I love this community to death. But there is a worry for me, especially in this community right now, that this is as good as it's going to get for 6 months. And that is concerning. And I hope that it almost stays this way. Because in my head, things don't go up from here until we get news and info and anything about that new game. But it is concerning that this is where we are right now, and this is the bed that we're in. And we have to get used to this. Yeah. That's where I am right now. The reality that this is as good as it's going to get for the next few months. And there is a worry that stagnation is really in effect. The growth is closer than it was a year ago. There's no doubt about it. But right now, it is not a fantastic time to be a 2K content creator. So yeah, I've kind of just gone into my head about what I wanted to say and what I've been thinking, and I know I'm not alone in thinking it, but there's a part of me that wants there to be that knows there's a beacon on the horizon, that knows there's sunlight abound, but getting there is going to be a time of trials and tribulations, and I don't know where we'll go, but my concern is that until October, September, maybe September, that it's going to be a trialing time, and it's going to be a slow time, and it's going to be a time that I may not like, but that's the time we're in right now, and we just have to learn to live with it. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I've got. See you guys for all. Thanks.